Hello Driving Intel's community. If you've watched my videos enough, you know that I like to upgrade old stuff, and once again I'm at it with my 2002 F-150 XLT model, bringing it up to a Lariat King Ranch version. Some time ago I was walking through a junkyard looking for just a steering wheel off of a Navigator. Happened across 2002 F-150, similar vintage, extended cab, and saw the full King Ranch interior. Needed some work, so I've upgraded or fixed the leather, got it patched, looks great. But while I was at the junkyard, when I was taking parts and pieces off these seats, because I didn't want the whole seat, I ended up they wanted me to pay more for the parts and pieces than the entire seat. So I took the whole seat with me, which includes the power seat function, which brings the seat up, down, forward, back, tilts the seat bottom, etc. It also includes the heated seat function. Well, in this video I'm going to install the power seat, and I'm going to do a temporary install because I've got a lot of wiring that I got to do underneath the carpet. I'll get into that later, but this is just going to be a temporary electrical install that you might find interesting, and in fact you could do this as your permanent install if you don't want to do a permanent wiring. It works perfectly well. You won't have any problems with it. So let's get into it. Stay tuned. So here's my King Ranch driver's seat. I don't have the King Ranch material on there obviously, but underneath here you can see the power seat modules that, or the motors that need to be wired up. Now all I got to do is connect a couple of wires here, and if I can figure out which ones, it's these wire here have got to be hooked up to give me power to those motors. The heated function I'm not going to use. You can see that module here. I'm going to use the heated seat function that I've already got in the vehicle, so I'm going to have to strip off these heating pads and put the other ones on there. But like I said, today I'm working on the motors, and I'm just going to do a real quick and simple fix that you're going to laugh at when you see what I'm doing. Before I get ahead of myself, I want to explain how I identified the wires for proper connection. The power seat function for this vehicle requires two connections, 12 volts and ground. I connected the wires to a 12 volt battery and used the switch to confirm the correct polarity. Then I could move on with the install. Seats removed, that's an easy process with just 5 bolts to remove. Disconnecting the electrical, there's the seat. Now I just need to take these seat covers off, and one of the other problems I had with the seat was that the King Ranch leather has a much better cushion underneath it. It's much thicker, much more supple. You can see that it's kind of loose here, and that's because the cushion, the original cushion for my seats, does not fully fill up this leather, so I got to replace that. That's why I'm going to take all this apart. Here you can see I've got the foam on. I had to transfer over, and here is the Dorman unit, and I've got a video that shows how I install these. It's really simple and they really work well. But on the floor over here is the old one, and what you can see is how much thicker that foam is. Here, this is the old foam, barely wraps around, whereas the King Ranch foam is really much more effective at cushioning, much more comfortable. Seat is pretty much put back together, and I'm going to put some protection on here because, as I mentioned in previous videos, I take this truck, it's actually Abe's truck, my rescue, on a lot of hikes. I get sweaty and I just don't want to put that on these seats, so I found this. I'm going to put this on and protect the seat and then get the reinstallation done. And then the final thing that's going to be most interesting is how I electrically connect this on a temporary basis. Okay, I've got the seat in temporarily. I just want to make sure everything works before I final bolt it in. Now, I wired into the harness my temporary solution, which is going to be kind of interesting. Now, again, it's temporary because I got to pull power from that kick panel all the way underneath, so I got to take the console out. I got to get power to the heated seats there. I got to get permanent power to the power seat. Now, I'm using this power port. I had this in my stash. All I got to do is plug it in to the 12 volt power port in the dash when I want to adjust the seat. And here we go. Let's just do a test. It's working well. So for those of you that are worried about not having a fuse in there, well, this is a fused power port, 20 amps, more than enough to cover this. So we're in good shape until we do the final installation of the wiring, but now I'm going to do the final installation of the seat. Final install is complete with all trim, looks good, and is very functional. Sometime in the future, I will complete the install with permanent wiring, so stay tuned for that, but it will probably be closer to winter when I need the heated seat function for the passenger seat. This temporary wiring method could be used for any power seat install as long as you confirm your amps and fuse requirements. Don't forget to give me that like, let me know what you think, and until next time, thanks for watching Driving Intelligence.